everyone can agree it's okay to highlight that fighter for getting knocked out. So if you're a referee and you make a mistake, why can't we highlight you?
MMA promotes toughness, but does the culture quietly destroy fighters who are struggling mentally?
So if your coach is trying to keep you from cross-training, it's because they know deep down inside they don't have the best product.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective. Over here, man, we keep it unfiltered, no scripts. And today is going to be one of those days where we go ham on it because we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some real shit, and we're going to keep it 100. And today I got what we call the Dana White of Florida. We have Mitch Chamali, who is one of the owners, the president, CEO, fucking in charge of marketing, just you name it. And the man fills a lot of shoes. And he has the number one, without a doubt, not anybody close, fight organization in entire Florida. He's been kicking ass, taking names, and just flipping it backwards. I mean, you've been killing it, brother. We were talking off cam. I had you on the podcast years ago. We've always kept our friendship. We see each other at fights. And now you're back for a second round. My brother, thank you for coming to the podcast.
Yeah, man, good to see you, man. I'm real excited. And yeah, I fill a lot of shoes, man. Sometimes that's even janitor. So whatever needs to be done at the event.
Humble. I like it. Sometimes it's even janitor.
Yes,
I
sir.
like that. And by the way, man, Mitch showed so much love. I got to put this on the camera, man. He brought me a bunch of goods brought to you by Combat Night. Make sure you guys tune in, man, this weekend. This upcoming weekend, the 7th, February 7th, is going to be an event here in Fort Lauderdale. You guys can tune in, get online. Make sure you watch it from there, from home, if you can't make it to the actual event. And then go ahead and follow Combat Night because they got events lined up. How many of you guys got lined up this year right now?
Currently 17. I think 9 or 10 of them are professional events, and the other 7 or 6 are just going to be the amateur events.
And what are the main cities that you guys are traveling around that you basically focus on?
Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale can be Hollandale, Miami. You know, it kind of changes down here, but South Florida. And then we do a Super Bowl of MMA in Fort Pierce to end the year with our buddies over at Rise of a Warrior.
Shout out to them boys too, man. They're also doing their thing. Look at this fly-ass hat, man, that Mitch hooked me up with. I mean, that shit is just fire. Combat Night with the army fatigue. With the hunting fatigue, with the camel colors just off the chain, the embroiderment. I mean, that's not a cheap hat, bro. I really do appreciate that. I know that you fucking spent some money on that thing and all these other goods back here that the camera can see. Mitch, so today, man, I remember when we spoke last night, you know, let's let the audience know you fucked up your dates, okay? Mitch is such a busy man. He's got an event this weekend on Saturday. Shit goes haywire. There's a lot of things you got to take care of, and I'm always trying to take that consideration. So I'd made it clear on my end, hey, man, I will revolve around your schedule. Yep. We settled on Thursday at noon, and then yesterday you hit me up while I'm in the middle of training clients, and I'm like, bro, my heart dropped. My heart dropped because I always like to be prepared, bro. Yep. And I see the text, hey, man, just want to confirm we're on for tomorrow at 12, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? I look at the clock. I'm like, it's Tuesday. We said Wednesday. I'm like, God damn it, boy, this weed's been good. I got my days mixed up. Oh, shit. So I tell you, yeah, cool. I responded right away. Yeah, we're cool. Don't worry, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, I trained my clients, so on and so forth. Then I check my calendar later, and I see that, no, you were wrong. It was Thursday. Yeah. But I told you I was okay with it, and, of course, you got a lot of preparation to do, so we got you in here, man, and we're here. We're doing it. But because of that, not that I wasn't prepared and not that you're not always prepared, you know, I told you, and again, man, you know, the Black Sheep Perspective, man, we keep it real and uncut, and we kind of want to touch topics that are otherwise, you know, kind of not messed with, that are kind of left alone, that are too politically incorrect, if you want to call it that. So I've been trying to get acclimated with ChatGPT. By all means, man, if you're trying to be successful in this world, you have got to get to know AI, and you got to know how to, you know, utilize it as well as you can, so it helps you out with whatever you're doing.
For sure, I love ChatGPT. I love Nano Banana. All these AI apps, man. It's a game changer. You know, it just allows you to do things a lot quicker, and Google doesn't stand a chance when it comes to the ChatGPT and the ability to ask it questions and, you know, figure out things.
Yeah, that's true, and that's why Google's behind trying to purchase all these damn softwares and whatnot. But you know, I myself, again, I'm trying to do what I can with the AI, and I decided to holler at AI and say, hey, man, you know what? Let me tell AI who's coming tomorrow. So I told AI, I told Chat, I said, hey, man, this is who Mitch Chamali is. This is what Combat Night is. This is, and I give him all the details. And, I told him, you guys are about to hit about 1 million followers on all your platforms.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. You've come such a long way since when I started fighting with you back in the days. And when I started with you, shout out, rest in peace to your brother.
Josh, Saman.
Yeah, who was part of this big movement when you guys first started. What an amazing story. If you guys want to see an awesome fucking docuseries, watch the one on UFC about Josh. What was the key name?
The UFC Chronicles.
There you
believe
go.
It was the very first episode, too. It was Love, Death, and Prize Fighting.
Yeah, just go to Paramount. They're going to have it now on Paramount. Shout out to UFC with Paramount. And they're going to have it there in the archive somewhere. Find it with Josh. I always say his last name, Saman.
Man, you know what? There's a million different ways it's been pronounced. Saman, Salmon.
Yeah, I think that
as long as you don't call it, as long as you don't call him Salmon, he was all right with it.
Yeah,
Saman
okay.
or Saman, yeah.
But it's amazing. So go check that out. But you leaps and bounds, bro, leaps and bounds, and you've been behind a lot of it. Obviously you got amazing staff and all that. But you've been doing podcasts, you've been answering questions. You're used to all the regular degglers. I told Chad I wanted him to spice it up, and let's get something going that'll get the crowd going. I want to speak for the people out there who have questions, for the fighters out there. I know you got, this huge following. A lot of these fighters are tuning in. They're going to want to know what the bullshit is about, and they want to know, what is Mitch talking? He finally let somebody put pressure on Mitch, because I know Mitch this. I know that Combat Night this. My boy that one loss this. That one paycheck that.
I love it, man. Yeah, I want to be as transparent as possible. I'm an open book. I always tell guys they can message me and ask me anything. I'm not shy, and, if I got something, if I don't like somebody or if I have a problem with somebody, I'm not afraid to go talk to them like a man and say to their face, it's a little different whenever they're being backhanded and trying to sneak diss me.
Right.
Any man wants to be a man and come talk to me. If they got a problem with me, I'm gonna stand with them. I'm talk with them. And hey, if they got a real problem, we can get in the gym and we can get it.
Yeah. I got to remind y'all, by the way. I don't know if you can see it because of the camera, or even if you look Mitch up. He doesn't look like the most threatening individual, but this motherfucker is A1 badass. All right, he's a real pro fighter. I think he finally retired officially. Not really. He hasn't made it known.
I don't think
you
never retire as a fighter. You always still want to do it.
He still actively trains with pro fighters galore, the best of the amateur fighters. He has an amazing gym at Fusion in Orlando, right?
I train with the guys over there. Julian Williams runs that gym. It's a great facility. Like you said, pro fighters everywhere. UFC.
So if somebody wants to smoke, you're down for the smoky smoke.
Always down for it.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this right now. So what are some things that you would like to see change within the Florida governing commissions? So let's keep it local right now. You have been through more shit than anybody else when it comes to dealing with the boxing commission or the Florida MMA commission. Remember, it was boxing, then it became Florida MMA. And that was one of the biggest problems, right? Because boxers, the judges, the commissioners, they didn't know how to handle MMA.
Yeah.
You've seen it come this far. What do you have a problem with now that if they're listening, if they want to take this podcast into consideration, that they would work on?
I want to start by being honest that they've come a long way.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah, when we first started, it was almost a nightmare working with them. They've gotten rid of a lot of people. They've brought in a lot of people and changed a lot of policies and things. Have been really, honestly, like I love the boxing commission right now. But of course, there's things that can be fixed and can be figured out with everybody. In my opinion, right now, the biggest thing is not allowing just anyone, any riffraff, to do a show. Like if you're putting together shows,
so be stricter on I guess what qualifies somebody to actually have a show.
Yeah, like there's
interesting.
There's guidelines that you have to follow to run a show in the state of Florida, and it's for right reasons. Like they don't want that you don't want to make Florida look bad. I don't want to make Florida look bad. I'm a part of Florida MMA, so if there's a show. A ragtag event that's putting together a bunch of trash fights, and maybe they only have 3 or 4 pro fights, and they're doing it in a venue that's just like they shouldn't be having a show at. Like, man, Florida Commission, like, stop it.
So a lot of people, right, are playing devil's advocate. What they would say is when you have such an opposing opinion, you got to offer some type of solution. So what would be some rough it up? Obviously, you're throwing this out in the air right now, but what would be some type of solution? Like, how stringent could they be on the requirements? What are the requirements, and where can they find out? Do they have to have a certain bankroll? Do they have to have a certain amount of, let's say, I don't know, burners, smokers at the gym? Like, how would they be able to qualify?
Well, I think the first thing is, they have their own guidelines already. So the state does have guidelines that you have to have. Like, to have a pro event, you have to have 21 rounds. Like, you have to have 21 rounds booked. Doesn't mean every fight has to go all 3 rounds, but on paper, there has to be the potential to happen 21 rounds, which in MMA is about 7 fights. I understand that MMA has less rounds than maybe a boxing event. So, I'm cool with making it 5 fights. But in my opinion, if promoters aren't paying the fighters, if fighters are having to constantly hit up the state and be like, yo, I haven't been paid, it's been 30 days. Why are they allowed to still do events? Like,
right.
You're not paying the guy that needs to pay the most and the guy that is making the show happen. Like, if you can't pay the fighters, you shouldn't be able to do an event. I don't care who it is, but if the fighters aren't getting paid, and then I'm also friends with a lot of the referees and the judges, and sometimes their checks bounce. Like, yo, if your check bounces, automatic suspension as a promoter. Like, to me, that's not even that's a no-brainer. If you're writing checks that you can't that can't be cashed, why are you doing business? You shouldn't be able to do business.
You mentioned that you're friends with some of the judges. I want to put you in a certain uncomfortable position. So what about judging? That's the biggest complaint that we have, not just statewide, but nationwide. We talk about it all the time when we see a bunch of UFC events, and it definitely happens on a local level as well. You put all these viral videos, and I'll see a nut shot that wasn't a nut shot, and it was, but they can't watch a replay, or can they? But when it comes to judges, do you feel like they need to be better qualified? Maybe a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, maybe had a couple of fights, amateur fights, or where do you think that requirement needs to be? Because I think that plays an even bigger role.
I don't think you should have to be a blue belt. I don't think you should have to have any amateur fight experiences. I think you should be held accountable for your bad calls. If you're judging a fight and every other judge scored it 30-27 for the red corner, and then your scorecard says 37 for the blue corner, pull that judge. That judge shouldn't judge any more fights for that night, in my opinion. They usually have a 4th judge that's helping out or whatever. But if a judge is constantly making decisions that go against every other judge, and they don't have, go have a conversation with them. What's their justification for why they scored that fight that way? And if it doesn't make sense, they need more training. At this point in time, really anyone can apply to be a judge. They do trail rounds, and they follow another judge, and all they have to do is match the scorecards with the other judge. But I'm saying, if you repeatedly make bad calls, there should be some sort of reprimanding happen. You shouldn't just be able to keep being a judge if you're not scoring the fights correctly. The same thing for referees. I'll say that the judging and the refereeing has gotten better. There's still some bad judges out there. There's still some bad referees out there. But for the most part, it's gotten a lot better. And the referees, for instance, I get it as a referee. Like, I love that we have instant replay now in Florida. So if there's a call, you can kind of figure it out. A good example is there was a call recently where...
But is that only pro events or even amateurs?
Amateur events as well.
So the referee can call timeout, whatever, referee timeout, go check if it was a nut check, let's say, or if it was an actual abdomen hit, and then come back and then decide.
Yep.
Amazing. Did not know that. That's awesome. Okay.
I'll give you a great example. We had a fight happen, and the fighter got up kicked, and it was an amateur fight, and the ref thought his knee was on the ground when he got up kicked. So the referee pauses it and calls an illegal up kick. And he says, I want to see the replay because it was very close. So the guy is like, my eye. His eye was hurting him. And he was like, I can't see. So the ref calls the fight because he's saying he can't see. Now, we're looking at instant replay. Instant replay can be used basically like in a foul situation or like the ending of a fight, a scenario that ends a fight. So they make sure they get the right call.
Right.
Well, we look at the instant replay. The guy's knee wasn't down. So it was a legal up kick. And then at that point, he'd already said he couldn't see. He told the doctor this. When you tell a doctor you can't see in a fight, the doctor's going to say the fight's over. So the fight's over. So the guy thought he was going to win by a legal, move, disqualification. He was going to win the fight. But because it was deemed an illegal kick, basically they took 2 or 3 camera angles. They looked at it. The kick was legal. It got deemed a TKO win, which is the correct call. Now, the other team was not happy about this. They were very upset. Turns out the kid's orbital bone was broke. And it wasn't even the kick that did it. He had been dropped earlier in the fight, and the adrenaline was pumping. It was pumping, but when the fight got paused, and
he felt it.
Reality set in. He was like, oh, man, something's wrong with my eye. So thank God that it did get stopped, because had it not been stopped, maybe something even way worse happens. But, it's in those instances that I really like. And referees are quicker to not make a rash decision. They're I like that, right? They're not just saying like what I said stands.
Right.
And, they have the instant replay. They're using the tools at their disposal. I really do think that our refereeing has gotten so much better. At Combat Night, we do highlight everything. I highlight everyone's mistakes, including the referees. And some people don't want to refer us because
they don't want to get called out on it.
Yeah, but hey, if you don't like accountability, I don't want to work with you. I don't care. I don't care if you're our judge, if you're our video guy, if you're the fighter. You got to be accountable for your own actions. And if we can highlight a fighter's worst mistake, which is usually putting their hand down and getting knocked out, right? That's a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
We can all agree. If a fighter puts his hands down and he gets knocked out, he made a mistake. And everyone can agree it's okay to highlight that fighter for getting knocked out to show the other guy love. So if you're a referee and you make a mistake, why can't we highlight you? If I can highlight the fighters, referees can get highlighted. I just don't see, and we do. We have referees who get very upset that we highlight their mistakes.
Completely agree on that one for sure. All right. Combat night can make or break a fighter's visibility in Florida. How conscious are you of the power you hold over someone's career? That one hit hard. And I thought twice about maybe asking you about that, but I think that's a good, honest, fair question that someone can ask. And by the way, guys, if you guys see me putting the shades on, my eye's acting up. I got Mitch as a fucking witness, okay? My right eye's acting up. I got a little problem I'm dealing with, so the shades is what helps me from the studio lights not bothering too much. And it goes with this fucking dope-ass one-of-a-kind jersey that Mitch gave me. All right, Mitch, pressure's on you. How do you deal with that superpower, bro? Like, you literally can fuck up somebody's career, make it tough on them, and you know you have that power, and you have dealt with some shitheads and some assholes and some cocky fuckers that, you know, demand too much money, want to get a championship belt, and you got to try to be, you know, Mr. Moral here, or do you let the power get the best of you?
So when it comes to like negotiations and conversations we have with fighters, we're not going to blast them on social media for that. I know we have the platform where we can really put some guys out there. You know, even if it's a guy who's like just continually bum hunting and then, you know,
bum hunting.
Yeah.
I love that, bum hunting.
The thing is now, if they want to get online and try to soil our name,
right,
and we know what has been happening in private with the conversations, now I'm not afraid because you started that. You put it out there into the ether that you have, you know, you're telling lies on us, so we're going to tell the truth about you. When it comes to the highlighting of the fights, it's real simple, man. We just show what happens. We put it out there. If at face-offs, you know, you want to be an asshole and you want to be a dickhead and you want to be rude and disrespectful at the face-off, hey, we're just posting that.
Right.
You did it, and the fans will take it how they want to take it. If you want to be super respectful at a face-off, we're going to post that, and the fans will take it how they want to take it. Across the board, it doesn't matter if I train with you, if you're my brother, if you're my cousin, if you're my best friend, you're my biggest enemy. We are going to highlight the entertaining stuff. So, you know, I'll give you a good example. Corey Taylor, my homie, he fights. He's a family friend. Like, he's a close friend of mine. He fights February 14th in Tallahassee. A couple fights ago, he got knocked out in 20 seconds.
Jeez.
It hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. It hurt. You know, I don't want to see one of my friends get knocked out. I honestly, the older I get, the less I want to see knockouts in general. I just know what it does, and I just, it's like, but it's a part of the sport. It's a game replay. But he got knocked out in 22 seconds, 23 seconds. And I like his opponent too, Theron Thorne. I got in the cage. I shook his opponent's hand. I said, great job, man. That was a beautiful performance. I gave him a hug. I took a picture with him, and we posted his highlight video. So we're not going to not post you because I'm close to you. Everyone gets treated the same when it comes to content. And everyone, if you create a viral moment, you create something that's entertaining, we're going to post it. And
you know, it's funny to piggyback that. I don't have to read it because I remember reading it last night. One of the questions that it was trying to trigger was, how do you feel about glamorizing that type of stuff? In other words, the viral videos that are otherwise pretty much knockouts of some sort. And do you think that that's, you know, kind of making the fans want more blood? And do you ever have like, nah, let's not put that many clips up. Let's not put it for that long. Or is it, no, it's all business. It's all business, and this is a viral clip, and this is what happens in our sport, and we're going to fucking play it as much as we got to in order to bring business.
Man, I'll be honest with you, you know, the clips we post, they could be so much worse. I mean,
you do hold back a little.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje fight, right? Max Holloway got slept, and the camera stayed on Justin Gaethje for like a minute of him lifeless, twitching. You know, like, we could do the same thing.
Right.
You know, we have the videos of guys when they get knocked out and they're messed up. In fact, I instruct my social media team, if a guy gets knocked out, you know, knockout happens, focus needs to go to the fighter that won. I don't want to see a lifeless, I don't want to see nobody on the ground and in their worst moment. And when we do post knockouts, you know, I know if it was just about clicks and it was just about going viral, that we could put the fighters laying on the canvas for a minute, for 2 minutes, you know,
of course,
put a time lapse and just speed it up. And he was out for a minute and a half.
Right.
People are that's gonna be, oh my God, that's crazy. But that's not necessary, man, and it's not worth. That's not what I'm here for. So yeah, I don't. But again, like I told you a second ago, I'm not. The older I get, the less I want to see knockouts. it really does, man. It like makes me sick inside, especially because I find myself to be friends with a lot of these guys. I care about a lot of these athletes. I talk to them, I get to know them, and it doesn't make me feel good to watch them get knocked out. But again, man, this is the game we play, and I always tell guys, like, we have guys that don't want to fight with us because they're scared of the lights, and they know, hey, you fight for combat night, you're on a big stage. If you want to make it to the UFC and you can't handle this stage,
what do you think that's going to do to you?
Yeah, what are you really doing right now? You miss, people get mad like, oh, you highlighted me missing weight. And it's like, yeah, when you miss weight in the UFC, Dana White does a press conference about it and tells millions of people. Mm-hmm. We got a million followers. So to me, it's like, if your goal is really to get to the UFC and be at the top of the sport or PFL, but you can't handle the PR on this level, then man, you gotta work on that, because the mental is more important than anything, I think.
Well, that's a perfect segue into this one. So MMA promotes toughness, but does the culture quietly destroy fighters who are struggling mentally? So this is definitely a good topic there, because that is something that has been going around, especially when you talk about, we take damage, we do, and we haven't been doing it long enough, especially with studies where we can see what is the possibility of CTE. And we do know that science is in our favor, that because the connection and the MMA gloves are so small and the flash knockouts are so much more common, and you don't take a long-term brutal beating like you would in boxing, where your brain is getting, hitting the walls left and right every round, and you're sparring 3 times a week to get ready for that fight. That's the real CTE. Most of us are not like that in regards to our training and whatnot, but it is something that happens. You have seen many people. You just talked about one of your close friends getting knocked out, and on that note, shout out to my boy, Ryan James. He fights for you, RJ. He just took a brutal knockout several months ago, but I asked him to, because he has another coach, and he put it in my hands. I said, listen, man, if you're going to let me guide you through this, I want you to take 6 months off minimum. 6 months. Oh, but the concussion protocol from the commission was only 2 months, no training. I don't give a fuck. Yep. You don't know what that's going to do to you. I said, bro, you're not even getting paid. Let's at least get better and make sure that type of mistake doesn't happen again, where we get our brain rewired. So, and then let's just make sure there's no brain fall, there's no mood swings, there's no anything, that can sneak up. So it is a topic. Do you think that we could do something extra, or maybe combat night, or maybe some type of organization to bring more awareness to it and to help fighters kind of like open up more about it? Sorry for the interruption, guys, but here's your friendly reminder. If you really want to show love and you're really digging this podcast as well as the other ones that I produce, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, push that like, and why don't you share this with a friend or family member? Appreciate all the support, and let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, man, I think I would love to see that from the top, right? The UFC. I think they need to have a better concussion protocol. I'm not sure what it is, but I have a friend who I won't even say his name, but he just got knocked out to kick off the year, and they've already booked him for another fight.
I know who.
It's crazy. There's no reason on God's green earth that you should be booking another fighter within 60, 70, 75 days. Like, no, I agree with you. I like what Justin Gaethje did after he fought Max Holloway, but he had to do it himself. He wasn't doing it because he was told to do it by the UFC. He had to do it himself. And I talk to guys all the time. They get knocked out or get rocked in training. Like, yeah, man, you're off. You don't need to fight. Like, there's no reason for you to fight. Like, if you got rocked in training, you got knocked out. There was recently a boxer in the state who was doing this, like, it was this show where it was like 3 1-minute rounds. It was pro boxing, but like basically these guys get in there and slug it out, but he died. And turns out he had been knocked out previously in the gym that he lied about on his medical form. And maybe even the promoter was present when he got knocked out. And they let him fight. But, it's sad to see that this is happening. And these young guys see a guy who, gets knocked out in December, and then he fights again in February. And they're like, oh, well, he did it. I mean, that's what they're looking up to.
Right.
And like you said, man, the 60 days is not enough. And then these guys think it's good to like go hit the bag. And it's like, yo, when you hit the bag,
still shaking your body.
Shaking your body.
Exactly.
You don't need to do that. There's a lot of supplements now and a lot of things that you can do to help out.
Right.
But, these guys will jump on their phone and go get drunk the same night. And it's like, yo, do you think your brain if you just got rocked and you just got knocked out or whatever, do you think your brain needs to be seeing your cell phone for 4 hours, doom scrolling? Do you think you need to go out and slam a bunch of beers?
And be dehydrated and do everything to just make it worse and not recover?
Yeah, and right after you just did a weight cut. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Right.
We are very big on trying to tell guys, be smart. If you're getting, don't be over sparring. I came up in the sport, man. I was sparring every day, and like thankfully, I don't have any adverse like side effects from those. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I don't. I thought the podcast was fucking tomorrow. It was today.
Right on cue.
But I wish these guys would take their brand health a little more seriously, and it's you shouldn't be sparring all the time. Once you can spar and you understand you got it, chill. Like sparring should be in the back of your mind. Yeah, start camp, getting some good hard rounds in. But I know guys that are sparring the week before their fight, thugging it out and sparring the week before their fight. And I know guys take more damage. 9 out of 10 times they take more damage in training than they ever will in a fight.
For sure.
I know guys that will never make it to the UFC and they got a stutter. And it's like, yo, what are you doing? Like you're a low level, you're 3-3 pro. Stop. I want you to know your kids one day. I want you to remember your grandchildren. I want you to have conversations and tell them about your life. So yeah, it is an epidemic in the sport, and I think the UFC's got to lead that charge to get it fixed. They did Michael, and they do their stars dirty. Yeah, man. So you see the UFC do it sometimes with some of their top athletes, where they get in a really tough fight, they get dropped, they get hurt, and then they're putting them back in there just a couple months later. You look at Bisping's last couple fights in his career, and you're like, man, this is one of your OGs. Like, let this man rest. Do yourself a favor and don't hang him out to dry at the end of their career. And that's why you see so many guys that came from the UFC that are just, oh man, they're a shell of their former self. A good person. I'll tell you about Leonard Garcia. I love him, man, but like he just took too much damage, and at some point,
there's a real OG right there too, man. Shout out to Leonard Garcia, real OG.
I love him. He was like a man's fighter. Like he was your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. That's the kind of fighter he was.
I feel like WEC back then was full of those type of fighters. Like there were proving grounds. It was like, man, we're that close to UFC. WEC were that, so they fought different, man.
Yeah. They wanted it. I mean, look at WEC Jose Aldo versus UFC Jose Aldo.
Right.
It's an animal.
Yeah. Do you think I don't want to say you think. What keeps these people in is they need the money.
Yeah, they need the money.
And the reason they need the money, because they got money. They're getting fat paychecks. The main people we're talking about, especially those who, even when they're veterans, they're averaging $150 to show, and then, double that if they win. And then, of course, that increases on who you are. They're paying a little bit better. They are, right? So, but what these fighters fail to do, and this is going out even to the young fighters who don't make it that far. There's a lot of, I'm not going to say no names, but, there's a lot of local fighters who are pro fighters. So they're at the end of their career. Some of them are going to BKFC, BKB, stuff because, they're not getting the fights they want, and they're in their 30s now, late 30s, mid 30s. And they're the amount of pain that they're going through is not worth the pay that they're getting. No. And the reason they're doing this is not because they think they still got to run. It's because they didn't set themselves up for success after.
For sure.
They were not thinking post-career. And that's a very difficult thing for fighters to do, especially if you've been doing it long enough, okay? Because you don't know anything else. And this also goes for a lot of athletes, especially if you go to a pro level. You don't know AI. You don't know fucking sitting at a computer. You don't know sales. You don't know, working for somebody, a boss. You just know you had a fight promoter who was your boss and paid you. That's it. And you had a coach to answer to and maybe a manager to deal with, and that's it. So they don't know how to fucking, to adjust. It's like they're getting out of prison. They're getting out of this prison of the fight world, and they don't know how to adjust. So they keep taking these fights, and it's causing them more physical damage than not. And that's a sad thing. I think what for the younger generation, for the people you deal with, I want to call coaches out. That's who the fuck I want to call out. When we were talking about that just now a couple minutes ago, you were putting it on the fighters. You keep asking these fighters, don't spar as much, don't this, don't that. Coaches, I know, I'm a fucking coach myself. Yeah, these dumb motherfucking knuckleheads don't listen, and they do their own thing. I understand that. I know you got to try your best to work around it. But if you can reach to these fighters, you guys are watching too, coaches as well, if you can reach to these fighters and hit them in their heart and do some reverse psychology where just like, motherfucker, do you love me as a coach? Do you love and respect me? Do you see me as that uncle, big brother, father figure that you never had or that you wish you had? Okay, so if you do and you're trusting my guidance, then God damn it, don't disrespect me. The same way you won't holler at my wife, same way you won't put your hands on my kid, the same way you won't put your dirty feet on my rug. Respect what I say and do not spar, do not blah, do not whatever. Work on this, work on that. And if they don't, you said this earlier when we were off cam, then you need to cut them. You need to give them a reality check. And the shit goes reverse. Fighters, if your coach ain't doing that for you, and he's too much old school roughneck, gotta spar too much, go harder, go harder, go harder, even though you're telling him you're fucking hurt and you know you're not a pussy, then you need to walk away from that coach.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you said something that was real interesting about just in general about the money and everything. Is like, yo, man, fighting has an expiration date. You want to be an accountant? Yo, you can be an accountant until you're 80 years old. Like, you can be an accountant for the rest of your life, and you don't need a plan B. But fighting can be your plan A. You're not a bitch, or you're not giving it your all if you have a plan B. But you've got to have a plan B in fighting. And that's why a guy like Sean O'Malley can have a tough fight and he can take off 6 months and chill. He's not trying to get right back into there and fight. He can take the time off he needs to heal his body properly and do the right thing because he has other streams of revenue. And he didn't start those when he got to the UFC. He had his Twitch account. He had his sponsors. He had everything he was doing before he ever got to the UFC. So a lot of guys wait until they get to the UFC and they're like, all right, now it's time to figure this all out.
Right, yeah.
Good luck.
Exactly.
Figure it out. Your first amateur fight. Figure out how to get a sponsor. Cool, you got sponsors now. Figure out how to have a side hustle, something you do. Shout out to Tim Abdelshahid. He washes cars. He's a detailing business, so he details cars. So if he doesn't have a fight, he doesn't have to take a fight for money. You never, ever want to take a fight because you need the money. That is never a good position to be in. It's not even just a fight game. It's anything in your world, like in your life. You don't want to have to do something because you need the money.
Right.
You want to do it, and the money's a nice secondary byproduct of that.
Of course.
But I always tell fighters, man, if you're not a bitch to have a plan B. Because you have a plan B doesn't mean that, you're not giving plan A everything.
And let me give you guys some other solid advice. And I was just giving this to my 18-year-old who, Mikey, you will be fighting for Combat Night on the next event when they come back down, April 18th. Make sure y'all lock that in. April 18th, they'll be back in Fort Lauderdale. My guy, Mikey, he's going to make his debut with you. And I was getting on his ass. We were doing a lot of content creation, and he saw how much work goes into it. We got to set up the lights. We got to do this. Okay, we're going to do this. We got to do it again and again and again and again. Fucking this angle, that angle. Oh, God. But he was loving it, right? He was loving it, but he also saw the fatigue, and it takes a while, blah, 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 blah. Anyhow, when it was all over, we were talking about it, and I said, hey, man, this is your first tiny taste of this shit. If you really, this goes to all you motherfuckers who really think like this. If you really think you're that guy, and you're gonna make a statement, and you're gonna make a run, and fighting is your career, whether or not you're the best and you hit that goal for the UFC, just make a good run. If you really think that guy, you need to adapt and understand that you are a product.
Yes.
You are a product the same way there's any other actual material product, okay? You are a product, and you have to sell yourself and treat yourself like that. So what makes you special? Is your fighting style special? You better take that in consideration. Because right now, and we're going to talk about pay in a minute, right now the UFC is making some real bold drop-your-nuts moves, and they're firing fighters who are lacking performance. They're not even giving a fuck about the wins.
Yep.
No one wants to see you win like that. It is, and I'm okay with that. And, bro, I know you're just as big of a fan as I am of UFC. I don't miss a fight. I don't miss none of your fights. I don't miss no one's fights, no local events, everything. I watch it all. I'm a fanatic. You have got to understand that portion of what can I do to make people want to see me. If the fight doesn't do it, what are you doing outside of that?
Yep.
Are you being social? Are you answering to fans? Are you stirring some shit up? Are you doing podcasts? Are you whatever it is you got to do to put yourself out that raises your value? That's how you start going cha-ching. Yes, the wins add up, of course. But we talked about it off cam right before we started the podcast. There's many fighters for the UFC who just outlived what they should have done in regards to performance, and it was because of the fanhood that they had. How many eyes, how many people fuck with them? Tony Ferguson, Tai Tuivasa, shout out to him. He just lost his 5th fight in a row, and they keep him. Why? Because he has a big following. He fucks with people. People love who he is as a person.
And he comes to fight every time.
And he always brings it, even though it gets fucking lackluster once the tank is over with. But, yes, so y'all got to keep that in mind, and again, your coaches should be helping you become this person, this product. I mean, look at you, Mitch. You make plenty of money just promoting fights. You turned this shit into all around apparel. You guys got all kind of collaborations. You know, you got these dope ass hats, all these other things, fucking buckets for the cornermen, rash guards galore. I think you're still fucking with the same people, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are they called?
Retro grappler.
Retro
Retro
grappler.
Yeah.
They got all these dope ass rash guards, you know, online. So you turn your organization into a product, and you materialize it where, hey man, come get the goods, come get the merch, and the merch is fly. It's dope, you know, it's not lame. And people fuck with it. Well, the same thing goes for you fighters.
Yeah, man, fighters, there's no reason you can't make a hat, a shirt. There's no reason that you can't, you know, I show a lot of love to a kid named Kyle O'Hare lately. He's online, viral Gen Z kid. His thing is like emoting my way to the UFC. So he has a little like slogan that he goes with, and his walkouts, he's being entertaining in his walkouts. When he's done with a fight, he has countless pieces of content that he gets to make, and it has nothing to do with his fight.
Wow.
How did he act when his hand get raised? How did he act during the walkout? During the face-off? He has all these moments that he does for his fight. He vlogs his weigh-in. He vlogs his weight cut. He vlogs the rehydration. He's doing everything. He's monetizing what he's already doing. You're gonna have to do it anyways.
Yep.
You know, and people say, "Oh, I don't want to be cringe. I don't want to be on. I don't want to. Oh, the time." It's just like anything else. The first time you walked into an MMA gym and you trained, you thought to yourself, "That was the hardest thing I've ever done. That was too much work. Ugh." You did it again and again and again. And 2 years later, you're like, "No, this is a breeze. I got it locked in. I'm on schedule. I do all these things." It's the same thing with creating content. You know, I'll be honest with you, Wes, if I only made money off of the events, that's it. I didn't do merch. I didn't do content. I didn't do anything. Combat Night would not be anywhere near what it is right now. It just wouldn't be.
Right.
I took for the fighters, you're the product. You're the main product, the main event. Off that main event, you have streaming on Twitch when you play video games, or vlogging, or reacting to videos, your training videos. You have all these different things you can do for content. Then you have the merch. You can do shirts. You can do hats. There's so many things you can do with that. Then there's sponsors. You can start reaching out. Once you have this following, then you start reaching out for sponsors. And then, you know, you got Patreon accounts. You have all these different ways to make money. And if you're not figuring it out now, you're not going to figure it out when you get to the UFC. It's just not, that's not how it works. But I got to give a lot of love to not just Kyle O'Hare, but like JP St. Louis. He's done a good job of his content and his monetization of his brand. You know, we made, I mean, I'll just be honest with you, man. I made starting about 2 years ago, I make 6 figures a year on content.
Off the chain.
Content.
Damn, that's some congrats.
And that's not, you know, meta. And
by the way, this motherfucker pulled up in a dope ass fucking what do you call them? Cybertruck, making all kind of noises. I didn't even know that thing goes. That shit's on lifts up.
Airbags. But I didn't buy that truck off of Combat Night money. I'm just being real with you. Like,
even better. That's what I'm saying. You're doing it off of everything off
other
of that.
shit.
Yeah.
You know, I would say 2 years ago, where everything started to really take off, and my personal content too. But it's, you know, Meta and UFC hired me to go to the UFC, watch the fights, hang out, make one video, one reel about my experience. They paid me, I want to say it was $6,000 plus all expenses included.
Off the chain.
No brainer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, you don't get that opportunity after doing content for a month.
Exactly.
I'm 3 years deep into really, maybe this is the start of the 4th year, maybe really after the pandemic. I realized, like, oh, we got to get heavy on content now. We got to get heavy on this. And my eyes were open to it. But, you know, and it's not just Combat Night content, it's my personal content too. So I'm making a brand out of myself, and I'm also trying to get my team to make a brand out of themselves. Like, hey, my social media guys, get in the interview. Don't just record from behind the camera. No, get in the interview.
People want to know who's behind that. That's how they attach to it more. Bro, I mean, shout out to my brand manager, Malik. Yeah, he's always on my ass about this, and you just said it perfectly. Like you people want to connect to who's behind. The brand is really you. Yep. It's not Combat Night. It's Mitch. You know, it's Josh Saman. It's the people involved. Who's the cameraman? He's got to deal with a lot to always look at Mitch acting stupid, recording all these dope-ass videos, viral videos. You know, you have cuts and this and that. Let's meet that guy, you know? Yep. So, and it's true. And then again, fighters, you guys are the same way. You're only behind the camera when you fight. Outside of that, when are you behind the camera? You got to put yourself in the camera. And let me say something. I'm not a big, like, overly shit talker type guy, but you have the right to stir some shit up too. You know, if you're a flyweight, you're 2-0, 3-1, and you got to call some people out. That doesn't mean shit on their parents or fucking go get out of hand type. Cody
Garbrandt.
No. Fucking Kobe Covington.
Oh,
Don't go straight Kobe. Yeah, my bad. Don't go Kobe Covington on them and overstep boundaries and disrespect people's families, but call somebody out. Go to one of Mitch's events. Have a fucking card, that says, hey, whoever, fight me. I think you're soft. Like, stir some shit up. People are going to be like, yo, who is that? Let's record that, Don't start a fight, but go have a good heated argument with somebody and say, hey, man, fight me next, There's definitely ways to sell yourself. You got to think out the box.
Yeah, and I want to go show love to another guy, too, Jeremy Williams, who was really a guy who kind of saw what we were doing and that we're entertaining and shining a light on guys that want to have that light shined on them. And he does all these crazy viral face-offs. Like, he's known for the viral face-off guy and his post-fight wins, right? Like, he does some crazy stuff. It always pops off. ESPN's picked up multiple of his bits that he's done.
Look at that. That's a prime example. That's amazing.
And, it's people want to see him fight, win or lose. It's great. I don't care if you're my hater or if I'm your favorite person in the world. Either way, you're tuning in.
Right.
That's all I care about. I got your attention. I'm living rent-free in your head if you're my hater. And if you love me, awesome. I appreciate it. But it doesn't matter to me whether you hate or love me as long as you're watching me.
50 Cent said it great before one of his songs. I need the hate because it's just free energy. I get to use your free energy. You're shooting it all over. And then shout out to Flavor. I just did a podcast with. Make sure you go check that out. Amazing podcast with Flavor. He was just talking about that. If you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
100%.
You're doing something wrong.
You're not putting yourself out there enough.
Yeah, people hate to see when you overly succeed and you're doing it good and you're doing it with confidence and you're fucking and even though something didn't go good or even though you lost, you're still celebrating. You're still showing out. You're still people hate that. Like, hey, how's he so happy? How's he so driven like that? And that is free attention right there. Like easy. Fans. Let's talk about these fans. Do you think fans? We were talking about pay earlier. One of the questions that chat had, and I thought it was a pretty good one. Do you think fans overestimate? Obviously, we know the answer. Do you think fans overestimate how much fighters get paid? And once we get into that, do you think that this pay structure, and we can say base pay, we can blast on the UFC, but we can keep it local and keep it 100 and talk about the uncomfortable truth and talk about your pay, what you average. Do you think that kind of sets the guys up for what is not an even exchange, meaning this ass whooping, this pain, this whatever that I might go through for this pay doesn't make it, worthwhile?
So, I'm not now. I'm a fighter and a promoter. I'm mostly retired now as a fighter, but I'm not on this bandwagon. The UFC don't pay you enough. I'm just not.
Okay, cool. I'm not either.
And that's not because I'm a promoter. It is because the fact of the matter is, the value of the opportunity you are getting is priceless. Quite literally, the value of the opportunity you are getting by being in the UFC is priceless. When I used to fight, I got paid one time $0 professional fight. So don't pay me nothing, man. So I want the opportunity. I made $10,000 in sponsors.
Wow.
Without the opportunity to fight, I don't get that opportunity to make $10,000 in sponsors. I don't get to add a win to my record. I fought another time. I fought in Georgia against a hometown favorite. I got paid $300. And again, after the show, I asked him, I said, hey, man, can I get one of those event shirts? And he goes, oh, yeah, man, they're $20. So, man, you pay me $300 to come fight your hometown dude. I said, and I was just like, damn, that's why we do things like give out free shirts and, try to take care of the fighters and show them a bunch of love and give them the best platform possible to highlight their skills and their abilities and the entertaining stuff they do. A lot of shows don't even talk about face-offs. So the fighters don't even have the opportunity is not even there to be entertaining at face-off. But when it comes to money, a lot of guys, I always think of like any business. Like I said earlier, you're the business, right? But it's a tree. How many branches can I get off of this main tree to make money? So the fight itself is cool. I can make money here. But off of this fight, I can also sell tickets and get percentage. I can also get sponsors and make money. I can also sell a fight t-shirt for every fight I'm in and make money. Yo, when I was fighting, I would sell 100 shirts, $20 a pop. So I made 10 grand on sponsors. Guess what? Every sponsor got a logo on the back of my shirt that I also sold. And I had a shirt sponsor that was paying for the shirts. And I made $2,000 off the shirts. So, when I was fighting with tickets, commissions, and everything else, man, I was making $13,000 to $15,000 at the end of the day. So I did not care if I was getting paid $0 to fight. It didn't matter to me. So I think the same thing with the UFC, right? But again, if you get to the UFC and you haven't leveraged your brand already and you don't already have a good following, no one cares you got to the UFC. You're just another guy who got to the UFC. And sponsors don't want to sponsor you because you're in the UFC now. Sponsors want to sponsor you because you understand how to market yourself and how to, if you can market yourself, you can probably market their business. They want to be attached to guys like Sean O'Malley. He gets it. They want to be attached to, insert any fighter that's popular in the UFC right now. Merab's popular because he's funny. He does all these funny skits. Sean Strickland, he's popular because he's controversial. So there's more ways to do it than just one. And if you look at these different guys, they all have a different path. Like you said, Colby Covington, the shit talking, the line stepper, the habitual line stepper. There's a lot of ways to do it. Just find your lane where you can be the most authentic, because that's what I think was most important. I don't think Colby Covington was authentic, to be honest with you. I think it was pushed, and which is fine. He made it work for himself. But I think the more authentic you can be, the more successful you'll be in the long run. But yeah, man, pay sucks. The actual pay that's coming from the promotions, even from us, like it's not. No one's doing it. If you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, there's very few Armands, right? Is that his name? Arman, Sarukian.
Yeah.
There's very few of those guys that had a silver spoon.
And still wanted to fight, yeah.
And still wants to fight.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys that are doing this are coming from the dirt, myself included. I grew up in a double wide trailer.
Yeah. First podcast, you had some great storytelling with your dad.
Yeah. So like, it is what it is. Like we're not coming from a great start,
Right.
But the quicker you can realize that the promotion, whether it's us, whether it's whoever it is, they're just simply the tree that you get to have branches off of, and then you can really make some good money.
Right.
That's when you're going to really start thriving. And there's some guys that do that. Like I said, I mentioned Jeremy Williams earlier. Jeremy Williams, man, I have every shirt that he's made. He makes some great stuff.
Right. Makes you want to buy it.
Yeah. There's Jim Allers. I have a
he used to have some dope shit all the time. In fact, you wore his Allers, the Miami one, the Beast one, on our first podcast.
I have a dozen Jim Allers shirts. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So that's a dozen times that he probably sold 100 to 200 shirts at $20 a pop, $30 a pop. Just off of shirts, he's making thousands of dollars.
Right.
So it's like, for me, it's like, no, the pays. Obviously, I want to see the guys make a lot more money.
Right.
I want to see on our level and the UFC level. But at the end of the day, fighters have to learn to take advantage of the opportunity they're getting. And at the UFC, you don't get this at Combat Night, but man, they have a whole PI. They can go in there.
Right, for free. Free meals, free treatment,
free therapy.
Everything, right.
All this stuff, right?
If you can take your ass over there, they'll take care of you 5-star.
It's crazy. It's a beautiful facility.
And that's invaluable. That's you can't put a dollar sign behind what they're doing. Because if you did, you're talking about if you just went over there for a weekend, that's at least $8,000 to $10,000 worth of treatment that you're doing.
Stupid money.
Yeah. And
then they also, people want to compare PFL or any. There's no promotion that's even come close to the UFC. You just can't. And any of these guys trying to compete with the UFC is just silly. Like it just is. Like they fly you out there on a Tuesday. You're there in a hotel all week. They're bringing you your meals. They're checking on your weight. You got a nutritionist. You got a dietitian. You got people you can consult with about everything. Like before you get to the UFC, if you want to have a nutritionist, if you want to have someone handling your weight cut, if you want to have, all these things that they give you for free, man, you got to have money to get that.
Yeah, and let me tell you, if I'm not trying to come to the rescue of UFC when it comes to pay, but I'm not against their structure as well. Okay, there might be some little things they can alter, but there's a lot that happens behind closed doors that people don't know. And there is a lot of cash checks that are written off books. There's a lot of fighters have come out and said it. It happens all the times. Or they give out bonuses when they really shouldn't. You didn't deserve the bonus, or so on and so forth. But coming down to you locally, without even having to put you on the spot and get any kind of true numbers.
Put me on the spot.
It's not even that. It's just to come to your defense in general. I've had a few fighters who have come from Combat Knife, who have come from Goat Shed, who have come from different gyms, and then they were doing strike with me. Some did it undercover, and others did it, knowing. Like I seen from Goat Shed was always okay with these guys coming over here to do striking with me, and but other gyms, like I won't say who the fighters were, but from what's it called over there? Not ATT, right next door to the next big one, Kill Cliff. They don't allow, and if they find out, they'll kick your ass out. So I had a couple of guys come from there over here, and it was all secretive, stupid as shit, but whatever. Sorry for the interruption, ladies and gentlemen, but if you're really liking this podcast, as well as the others prior to it, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, push that like, and go ahead and share this with some friends and family. Thank you for all the support, and let's get back to the podcast.
Real quick before you move on from this.
Yeah.
This is America All right. If you want to eat a Big Mac and a Whopper on the same day, should no man be able to tell you can't do that? And if someone is trying to tell you that you can't cross train or you can't work with somebody because they won't allow it, fuck that person. I don't care. You shouldn't be able to cross train. If I'm a coach, my product should be so good that I'm not worried about you going and trying another product.
Damn, there you go, right there.
So if your coach is trying to keep you from cross-training, it's because they know deep down inside they don't have the best product.
That's right.
Only way about it.
That's right.
In America, the best product wins.
And let me make this clear. Whichever way it goes, this isn't a shot. This isn't a shot to kill Cliff. All right, I'm not trying to have you guys castrate bullets, but if fucking shoe fits, then you wear that. Whoever it is, coaches, owners, whoever makes that rule. I'm telling you, I've had 2 of your fighters come train with me, and they had to do it secretly because they didn't want to get kicked off the team because you guys said they can't do shit. So I 100% agree with you. And if you fighters, if you think that, see, the problem with Kill Cliff, and this is a problem, people are going over there to get the bodies, to get the work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not going there for some good coaching. They do have some good coaches, but they're going there for the body. You're either going to go to ATT if you want to go against real killers and UFC fighters, quality fighters, or you're going to go to Kill Cliff unless you're out of the state of Florida. So guys do that, but it's a stupid rule. But anyhow, going back, when I would have these conversations with these guys and I'd be like, hey man, you need to get with Mitch and you need to go fight for combat. Fuck that shit. They don't pay shit. But it ain't for the pay. I don't care where you go, you're not going to get much pay. I don't care if Mitch is giving you $500, if this event offers you $700. If they offer you $1,000, don't act like you're gonna get more than $1,000, bro. Yeah. And if you do get offered more than $1,000, whoever that organization is, I guarantee you, they're only gonna last another year or 2. They're gonna sink. They're overpaying. There's just too much going on. If they're paying you, who's still in the up and coming, you're like 0-1, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, whatever, as a pro. Imagine what they're paying the other guys. Yep. So if they're going to offer you that. So you got to respect the business aspect of it. And if you truly believe in who the fuck you are and your skill level, and you do all the things that you were talking about, make yourself a product, blast yourself, sell the merch, go network with people. Again, like I said, do podcasts, all that other good stuff. That's where you're going to make your real money. And you know that this is just a process. It's just like you went to college, you got your degree. You get out, you go to a job, you start at $60,000 with that degree. You got to be at that job. Doesn't matter if you got bachelor's or even a master's. You got to be at that job for at least 2 years before they bump you up to 65 or 70. And then again and again. And then now with your master's, you're finally making that 100, that 120 you want. You had to grind it out. This is no different. You got to grind it out and get that little bit of less pay as you build everything up, because it is a business for people like yourself, like the UFC. And UFC has a way bigger overhead with what they do with the PI and stuff, So to your defense and to that, I think that fighters need to stop worrying about that pay. Unless you're undefeated and you're going for a title match, then that's, I guess, maybe negotiable with you, however that goes. But on that note, do you negotiate prices when somebody does have a good following?
Oh, 100%, man. You want to talk about
pay? You take
that
consideration. Yeah. You do.
Let's talk about pay. So, yeah, the average 0-0, 0-1, 1-0 guy starting at 500 and 500, right around there. And they go up from there.
Okay.
Now,
so we letting it all out the bag. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. What I love, and I got a ton of messages, and I'm sure any promoter has these messages as well. But what I love is the guys that chirp about the pay ain't telling you they're chirping about the opponent too. Oh, I want to fight this 0-3 guy, so I want you to help me get a win. Oh, you're only paying me $500 to fight the 0-3 guy?
Put him on blast. Go ahead.
So, man, it's, in life I always say there's like 3 things. I'll say this real quick, too, and then I'll get back to the blast. But there's 3 things that you can do. If I'm going to do anything in my life, it's work for somebody else or I want to do something, there's 3 things, and I'm happy if I can get 2 out of 3. 1, do I get some notoriety, right? There's some notoriety attached to this opportunity. 2, am I going to get paid really well, right? 3, am I passionate about it? So those are my 3.
I like them.
If I hit 2 out of 3, I'm happy. If it's notoriety and I'm passionate, let's run it. I don't have to get paid.
Right.
I'm cool. It's going to lead to something else maybe. If it's money and I'm passionate about it, I don't care if I'm doing it behind the closed doors in the black room. No one knows I'm even there. I'm cool with that. If it's a lot of money and I'm passionate about it, or no notoriety, I don't care. If it hits all 3,
right.
Oh man, we're talking the lottery right now. Okay, I get paid, notoriety, and I'm passionate about this, I'm in. I don't care, I'm in. And I feel the same way about fighting. These guys, it's like, I want an easy opponent. I want someone that I know I can beat. I want to get paid really well for that. And I want it to be highlighted, and I want all the notoriety and all the love possible off this thing. It's like, okay, cool. So you want us to hit all 3 markers for you. We can pay you, but you're going to have to fight someone tougher. Oh, man. Well, no. That's not the kind of fight I'm looking for. What do you mean, though, bro? I was like, you want $1,000, but you want to fight the 0-3 guy. That's not how it works. In life, that's not how it works. And again, we go back to business and fighters being business savvy and understanding things is like risk reward. Everything in life is risk reward. So you want us to give you all the reward and take no risk. I've had guys in the past who tell me, I'm going to sell 100 tickets. I deserve to get paid $1,000. All right, cool. Let's put it in the contract. You sell 100 tickets, I'm going to give you $1,000. I got no problem with that.
Okay.
I'm going to pay you 1-1 because you're going to sell 100 tickets. We'll put it in the contract. Oh, no. I don't want to put it in the contract. Like, I'm going to try. Cool. Well, then I'll try to pay you 1,000 and 1,000. But if you're not willing to put in the contract that you're going to sell whatever you just said you're going to sell, and then if you don't, your pay gets bumped down to this, then we're not doing business here. This is not business, because in business, word of mouth doesn't work, right? What's on paper works. So, sure. And I have had guys, I won't call them out, but I had a guy put in his contract one time. Said, hey, I'll sell 50 tickets, or you don't have to pay me. Said, I want 1,000 and 1,000, and if I don't sell 50 tickets, you don't have to pay me. Can I tell you that guy sold like 20 tickets? End of the night, I said, hey, Richard, let me handle talking to him. I said, hey, man. I said, so look, I said, we wanted to pay you 6 and 6. You promised, oh, man, pay me 1,000 and 1,000. I'll sell 50 tickets. I said, you put it on paper. I said, so technically right now, I could just pay you nothing, man. I said, I'm not going to do that to you tonight. So you're going to get what I offered you originally and the commission on your tickets. And I was like, but keep in mind, man, this contract is legal. I could have said, boom, I got to pay you nothing. I'm gonna pay you this money anyways. So no, like, do I want to pay the guys more? 100%. But do I want to be able to continue to provide opportunities and make it make sense? I'll be real with you. Like, I make more money outside of combat night than I do at an event. Like, I'm not making a ton of money on the events. It's hard to do these events. It's very hard. And it's evident in the fact that we've been doing events for 14 years and there is no promotion that is nearly as active as us, providing as many opportunities as us. They've all popped up and went out of business. You know, and there's a crew of guys down here, especially in South Florida. Again, I won't name any names, but people know who I'm talking about, who have been a part of all these promotions. They pop up, they tank. They pop up, they tank. They pop up, they tank. Oh, we pay fighters this much money, and we do this and we do that. Yeah, but you can't even give them good opportunities because you go out of business.
That's right.
Because you don't get it. And unfortunately, promotions come down here and they still hire these guys, not realizing, like, I'm hiring something that's going to tank my promotion, you know. But it is what it is. I like the fact that I'm in this business because I'm competing against a bunch of guys that don't understand business. It makes my job easy.
And I imagine you would be more inclined to showing love if they were more inclined to signing a multi-fight contract as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they're letting you build them, you know, they're letting you, they're being part of the whole experience, the whole.
And we have a lot of guys that we have signed, and we're about to do another round of signing here probably at some point this year because we got guys that have left and gone to the UFC. But, you know, guys, the smart ones get it. We have some guys that really understand it. If we are trying to build you as an athlete here in Florida, let's say you came up with us as an amateur. Number one, if you came up with us as an amateur, I'm already promising you pro fight. I want to give you a pro fight, and I want your pro fight to start off the right way. You're going to fight somebody who didn't come up with us, most likely. Mm-hmm. You might fight somebody within the same organization, whatever. We're growing to a point now where that might have to happen. But if someone didn't come up with us, you're at an advantage at combat night because you take in tough fights. I don't care if you sell 100 tickets as an amateur. My job is to make sure you're ready to go pro one day. So I'm not trying to give you easy fights. We can talk about amateurs who pick and choose fights too. That to me is ridiculous, guys. If you're an amateur, fight everyone as they come your way. Obviously, don't fight a 3-0 guy when you're 0-0. Be smart in that sense. But if it's a 1-0 versus a 1-0, you shouldn't say, oh, but he's a black belt. This is MMA. I've seen plenty of black belts get knocked out. Shout out to my boy Shane Godoy. He took a black belt on 3 days' notice, knocked him out in 30 seconds. Black belt what? So to me, it doesn't, those stories happen a lot where guys take on the tough fight and they end up beating them. But we won't digress into that just yet. We'll get on there in a second. But with this pay thing is that, a lot of guys, if they're complaining to you behind closed doors, man, put us on blast publicly, please. I'll show the screenshots.
Right.
And then look at who you fought. Like if you're upset because you got paid $500 to $500 for your debut and you fought a guy who was 3-3 as an amateur, never fought for combat night, and is 0-1 as a pro, what do you expect? What should you get paid to fight that guy? What do you think is an appropriate amount to get paid to fight that guy?
Yeah, make it make sense.
And then if you sell a bunch of tickets, we give you a ticket commission. I would do that. We hook guys up with ticket commission. We also do way more for our athletes in general and just like product. Like I can't tell you how much every year we spend like 40, 50K on this kind of stuff that we just give to athletes. Like we're always hooking them up with stuff. We try to take care of them. We get weigh-ins early. We pay extra money to have the weigh-ins early. We snacks, water, we bring all that stuff to weigh-ins, bananas, make sure you're ready to compete. And then we have the platform that we try to give everybody. You're not getting a poster of your body just cut in the middle and floating on top of something. Like we give you proper stuff that you can send to a sponsor, a potential sponsor, and say, hey, look, this is the promotion I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for the best promotion in the state. Mm-hmm. This is why you want to sponsor me. I also have helped countless guys understand the process of getting sponsors and getting shirts. Like, if you want help, guys, message me. I'm available. I don't turn my nose up to anybody. I have coffee meetings like 2 or 3 times a week with fighters. Often I'm talking to these guys and I want to see them be successful.
Have you ever entertained doing management on the side, or did you and then walk away from it? Because that's a pain in the ass too, because you're dealing with the same fucking divas that are approaching you about this.
If I'm being honest, what we're doing is we're managing fighters. Like, we're not doing it on paper. We're not getting paid for it.
Right, but you are.
But whenever we take a guy from an amateur's first fight all the way to the UFC, do you think it happened by accident? Do you think that the 4-0 pro that doesn't have great wrestling, could we not have matched him with a D1 wrestler?
Right.
Yeah, that can happen. You know what I mean? But, like, if you're coming up with us, we want to make sure you're taking smart fights. And you might not be – I like fights that are 60-40. Both guys. What do I mean by that? It's 60-40 for Billy if it goes to the ground. It's 60-40 for Bob if it stays standing.
I like that.
You got to decide.
Right.
Is it going to be 60-40 for you?
Got to impose the will, yeah.
Or is it 60-40 for him?
Right.
That is also how both guys learn, both guys grow, both guys get better, and they get one step closer to their dreams. Even in a loss, they're getting one step closer. What I don't like, and what we're really getting away from, and I can admit we have done in the past, given, the 3-0 guy, the 0-1 guy. And sometimes this is going to happen, right? Last minute, fight falls off. You just got to get him somebody that will come in and fight. It's going to happen. But, what I'm not going to do when it comes to the pay, and again, I mean, people can feel however they want to feel about it, but I'm not paying you to look cool in front of your friends and family. I'm not going to get you a fat check so you can go beat up somebody that everyone knows you can beat up. This doesn't make sense. Are you still going to get paid? Sure. But a lot of these guys that complain about pay or about, these things, it's because they're also asking for an easy opponent. Right. And I tell you, it happens all the time. People will send us, hey, I want to fight this guy. Okay, cool. What would you like to get paid for that? Oh, well, my last fight I got paid 1-1. Okay, your last fight, you fought a 4-0 guy.
Right.
This guy's 2-2. Do you see the difference? And a lot of them are like, a lot of them are cool. Yeah, I get it, man. Hey, I get it. But there's always going to be a handful of guys that, and then there's this factor as well, is that if you're going to get to the UFC, you got to be active. You got to take a lot of fights. You got to be busy. So if you're just waiting it out to get paid an extra $300, an extra $400, and that's what you're waiting for,
it's a horrible decision. The
$12,000 and $12,000 from the UFC will never come, because fighting once and twice a year isn't enough anymore. Right. You got to be active. You got to be fighting often, and the opportunity to be out there,
And they start scouting younger now. Dana's making it very clear he doesn't like to put somebody on the roster once they're in their early 30s. He doesn't even want to entertain it.
Yeah, why invest all that money
in
the marketing and everything else? And then that older 32-year-old guy beats the 21-year-old guy because he has the fight IQ and the experience. So he beats the young prospect, and he's like, damn, man, we could have built this prospect. Everyone's playing the same game.
100%, yes.
Everyone's playing the same game. And
but it's not a game. It's a business.
Oh, it's a business.
That's the part that irks me about people who get worked up. A lot of these fighters, it is a business at the end of the day, and you don't know the numbers. You don't know the shit that goes behind the closed curtains. You really don't. You just see, a lot of people think about UFC because they don't know what you guys make, but they see the billions. The Paramount signed for this and they sold for that, and then they think, man, billions. all these athletes should be getting paid more. I'm not saying there's not enough to shave off a little bit more, but again, they're not really thinking about it as business. They're just thinking about it as fans.
Yeah.
You know?
And why should the UFC shave you off more? There's a reason that Sean O'Malley got shaved off more than a John Fitch.
Yeah.
You know, the boring fighter is going to get less opportunity to make the money. Again, it goes back to entertainment. If you are the entertaining guy and you're down to take tough fights and you put on a show, you're going to make more money no matter where you are. That's us included. If
Right.
UFC, wherever you're at, you're going to make more money. And if you want to make more money, you know, I got a great example. I got a guy who started with me making $150 an event, recording, uploading YouTube, everything. He'd come to Jacksonville, make $150. He went to $300. He went to $500. And at some point, he was just adding stuff. Let me add this. Let me add that. Hey, Mitch, I deserve $1,000. You know what I couldn't tell him? I couldn't tell him no, because he had a list of reasons why he deserved this money.
Right.
And he delivered on these reasons. So same thing goes for fighters. Again, it's business. Have a list of reasons why you deserve to get paid this amount of money. What are you doing? Who are you fighting? I had a guy recently. I'll tell you a story. I had a guy recently get upset with me. He said his dad laughed at him that he got paid $500 and $500. Guy has a couple fights. He had a rough fight. He had lost in a tough fight, and he wanted a bounce back fight. Right? We gave him a bounce back fight. Like, hey, this is a good matchup. Stylistically speaking, record wasn't great. It's a bounce back fight for you, right?
Right.
He wins. Cool. He made $1,000. But then he was talking smack to me about it. Like, oh, this is my dad laughed at me. Da, 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 da. I said, well, did you tell your dad that you fought a lesser opponent and that your team asked for the lesser opponent? And that we literally, sometimes when we bring guys in, there's airfare, there's travel, there's hotel. And obviously, if the guy is coming in and he knows he's the underdog, he knows that he's the chance.
He was brought for that reason type shit.
He knows the chances of him winning are slim to none, or not maybe slim to none, but like it's a 70-30 fight.
Right.
You think that guy don't know that?
Yeah.
And do you think he wants to get paid for the tough? He's taking the tougher fight, not you.
Exactly.
So he deserves to get paid more, and he does get paid more. And that's why I say, you know, I had a guy tell me, oh, I got paid $1,500 to $1,500 to fight for, you know, LFA. It's like, okay. So how much did you make? $1,500.
Because you lost.
Because you lost. I said, so you're one step further away from your goal, and you still made the same amount of money. If you had fought for us for $750 and $750, you made the same amount of money, only you don't got a loss, and you had to travel. I said, what did you spend on your travel? What did you spend on the food while you were there? What did you have to spend on these things? You know, there's other stuff that comes into play on your fight camp, where you could have been comfortable at home. You could have sold tickets, got a percentage of your tickets, and plus still made $1,500, but you would have had a win on your record, potentially, and not a loss. So the fight business is crazy, and it's hard to really break down every little detail.
Right.
And I won't pretend like I don't think guys should get paid more. My goal is I don't care if I make another dime where I'm at right now. I'm happy where I'm at. Like I said, I do things outside of combat night. I'm lucky that I invested in cryptocurrency at an early stage. Not super early. I wish I had invested super early. I had a friend who told me when Ethereum was like $10. He's like, you got to do this. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Every time we talk, he brings it up. But, you know, the cryptocurrency, the content game, a lot of things that I make money outside of. I do subcontracting. I work back ends for a lot of events. I do consulting. So, but at combat night, I'm happy if I don't make another dime. If I'm right where I'm at, I'm stagnant. I go nowhere with combat night, and I can pay members on my team 6 figures. If I can get my OGs that have been with me since the beginning to 6 figures, if I can get it to where debuts are making 1,000 and 1,000, if I can get to where championship fights are making 10 and 10, like these are my goals.
Right.
Do not get it twisted. I promise you, these are my goals. But just like you watch these promotions come on the scene and pay 1,000 and 1,000 for their first event, and you know it's not sustainable. I understand right now that's not sustainable. It's just not. What do I need to happen? I need to get 2 or 3 big sponsors going into a year, where going into the year, I have $250,000, $300,000 worth of sponsorships. I know I have the views and I have the attention of the community and those around it. We get 100 million views across all platforms. 100 million views across all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Those 3 right there. I have to figure out a way so the companies understand that we get those views.
Right.
You know,
and they want to partner up.
They want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
There's no way, if you're in the health space, if you are in the Zen space, right? We have a company called Free Sorry, man, I got to get you on free. We're gonna get rid of that eventually.
Let's do that.
But if you're in any space that like is health or fitness or weed or energy drinks or all these things, like I know that we have the viewership of the people that you want. It's a matter of getting to the person who makes the decisions and letting them know that we can do that. Once we start the year with $250,000, $500,000 in sponsors going into the year, boom, man, life changes for everybody.
How much closer are you to that? I mean, is it somewhat too difficult to forecast, or can you say by the end of the year? I mean, you've been tracking the numbers. You see what you're doing. You just said what you said.
We got a brand. So we got a woman that handles the brand sponsorships now and partnerships. She's been crushing it, bro. She's been crushing it. But the fact of the matter is that we're like 15% into where we need to be. Like we need to be 100%. And, we had a big deal that almost closed beginning of this year. They were ready, pulled out literally on Thursday. We'll send you a contract on Monday. Everything's good. Handshake. We're good. We're good to go on Monday. Oh, something happened. We can't do it anymore. I get it. It's business. It is what it is. I don't count my chickens before they hatch, but that one still hurt.
Yeah.
And that would have changed things for this year. It was a big enough deal that would have changed, and we could have had more money to spend on the athletes and spend on the team. But I would like, even if we got a big streaming deal, like let's say we got a big streaming deal that wanted to do $100,000 an event, and people say, "Why aren't you on Fight Pass?" Man, Fight Pass steals your content. They pay you $30,000 to $50,000 on average. Some promotions are making more. But the backdoor talk conversations of why LFA is not there anymore is because LFA wanted their content. They wanted the rights to their own content because content is king.
Yeah, of course, especially when you know what to do with it. Yeah.
So that's why we're not on Fight Pass. I've had the conversations. We went back and forth, and the money they want to give us the juice ain't worth the squeeze. It's not even close.
Right.
But if we can get a good, decent streaming deal where they're not taking advantage of us and things make sense, in every event, let's say we get $50,000 extra. Everyone's pay changes at that point. You know what I mean? $50,000 across the course of 16 events. Just do the math. We're over $1 million,
right.
Getting close to $2 million. Then everything changes. So it's not just if we can get more sponsors or just a streaming deal. It's like any of these things that can happen. Who knows?
Right.
And we're 14 years into it. We're obviously very well known across the whole state. What happens whenever the owner of Monster Energy finds out that there's this promotion in Florida and he wants to sponsor it? Cool. I guarantee you, I would put my left nut on it that we have more viewership than every show on Fight Pass. Like on our socials aspect of things. Like I know what we're doing. I know how, and I've seen the back end. I've consulted and I've been a part of other shows and bigger shows, and I've seen their numbers and I compare them to our numbers. I see their following and I compare it to our following, and I'm like, man, our engagement out of control, bro. It is insane. So for me, that's the big difference of what's going to need to happen for us to be able to really put on for the state. And then everything changes with a couple big sponsors or one big sponsor or a big streaming deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you find yourself liking this podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and why not share this with a friend or family member? We appreciate all the support. Let's get back to the podcast. Let's see if we can get people watching to help out, man. Tag the right people. Share this podcast or even this clip with the right people who you think might be interested. If you know the right persons, you're looking for the investors, you're looking for the collaboration, you're looking for the partnership.
And I'm transparent. I'll open my phone, I'll go to my Instagram, and I'll say, hey, look, right there, professional dashboard. It says we have this much engagement. Right here, professional dashboard. It says, and it's not just, that's just combat night. I'm not even talking about me.
Right, exactly.
My numbers.
If they put you on the team, that's a whole nother, amount of value that you bring in regards to everything. Yeah.
My numbers and my back end, there's a reason why Meta and the UFC hit me up.
Right.
A guy with 50,000 followers, because they can see my back end. Meta can. They know what I'm doing. And they hit me up to come and work with them and do some content with them. So they understand that I know how to get people's attention. But now, like I said, the goal is making sure a streaming platform knows, or making sure the sponsors know what we can bring to the table. And when it comes to the live events, you've been to the events. It's insane. It's a good time.
A hell of a good time. It's a club scene. It really is. A movie scene. It's dope. I want to remind you really quick. We were talking about the amateurs. We said we're going to get back to that. So these amateurs, one of the ways, for these people to build their value and everything that we were talking about damn near an hour ago, is, to recognize that they're the product, they themselves are the brand. And to put the brand out there, they have got to be on camera. They got to be on stage. They got to be, on the canvas. They have to show. They got to be on the court. They got to show people what they're capable of in order to raise their value. Guys aren't doing this enough in the amateurs. And you have mentioned that earlier. What is some advice that I mean, I know where you're going to go with it, but what are you trying to tell these amateurs who keep pussyfooting and half-stepping and second-guessing and everything else when it comes to this amateur career before they ever go pro?
I mean, the most important thing is, do you believe in yourself? I mean, do you think you got it? Only you know that. Like, we don't know that. You might tell us, you might put on a big front, you might make posts on social media that you're the man, but do you truly believe that? Because if you truly believe that, you got no problem calling out the next guy. You got no problem saying, I'll fight anybody. You got no problem having fun at face-offs. You got no problem dancing to the cage and having a good time or locking in, and you have no problem risking it in the fight, you know? And I get it. Your first fight, your second fight, be smart. Make sure you win. That's important. Number one, I always tell the guys, number one, most important thing is you got to win. But number two, right behind it, is you got to be entertaining and you got to put it out there. So many guys that I see that, man, they got the opportunity to finish the fight. Oh, but they shoot a takedown. They ain't risking it for the biscuit. You know,
Right.
they're worried.
They want to get the win. Yeah.
They want to get the win. And it's like, yeah, I want you to get the win too. But at some point, you got to trust your ability and your skill. And that's how you build confidence. You know, you do something that you've been working on in the gym. It lands. Okay, boom, confidence goes through the roof.
Right.
Or it doesn't work. Okay, man, I got to work on that some more. But I think guys really got to risk it more and put themselves out there. Just don't be afraid.
If you try to pick and choose, you know, and you take your time, you know, too much, and let's say you go 5-0, 6-0, and you think, you know, because around that time, most amateur fighters are like, oh, that's it, I'm going pro. It's time to go pro. Really, did you really whoop enough, you know, quality guys?
Yep.
You know, or did you just want to get that record out the way to fuel your ego, and now you're going to go into, and not only that, you probably built a bad habit, and now you're going to carry that habit to somebody like you and say, hey, give me an easy fight, and I was 5-0, pay me 1,000 and 1,000. Like, bro, you just fought 5 amateur fucking nobodies.
Yep.
And you know, again, are you the product? Do you have the following, you know? So amateurs in essence, fight more.
Yeah.
Fight more, fight smart, you know, train smart, but fight more.
Our most, and I'll be honest, our most successful pros that have done the best were 5-2 as an amateur. They were 7-3 as an amateur. They found their holes as amateurs because they took risky fights. They took tough fights. They fought the black belt. They fought the Muay Thai specialist. They fought the wrestler. They took the risk. And in the process of those risks, they found out I'm better than I thought I was, or I'm as good as I thought I was, or I have more holes than I thought I had. But you don't ever find that out just in the gym, because we know how our training partners do. We know, hey, he got a good switch kick. Oh, I got to watch out for this. I got to watch out for that. But the only way to truly test yourself, like I said, is once you get in there with the lights on, how do you deal with it? How do you handle it with the pressure, all the things? And if you're just fighting guys that you know you can beat, you got a false sense of how good you are.
That's right.
And, you know, so often guys from other promotions will come and want to pro debut with us, because that's the thing too, is like these guys will build their amateur career with a promotion that can't even offer them a pro fight. And it's guys that I ask, hey, man, I want you to come fight for me. Hey, bro, hey, come get a fight with us, man. I'd love to have you with us. And they're like, oh, but I'm fighting for this guy. I'm fighting for this guy. And it's like, okay, cool. What's next when you're done? Well, then I'll come take a pro fight. You ain't taking a pro fight with us, bro. And if you do, you're fighting one of our studs.
Right.
You're fighting someone who I know is tested and true. And I'm going to find out on your first fight if you got it. Because I'm not going to waste 2 or 3 times working with you and try to help you. No. We're going to find out right away, do you got it? You're fighting one of our studs. You're fighting a guy who is 5-3 with us, but I know who he fought. I know what he's made of. I have no idea what you're made of. So we're going to find out on your first fight. So, you know, again, back to the business thing. If you're a fighter taking amateur fights and you're solely, I'm not saying you can't fight for those shows, but you're just fighting for the show that has no
aftermath, no secondary part, no pro part.
The ceiling is
right there.
Amateurs for them.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, I made it to this ceiling. Now I'm going to jump over on your building and I'm gonna come build with you. We're just not doing it, man. Like, and those guys end up having rough careers, man. So I won't name names, but there's so many guys who built themselves up in the amateurs and other shows. And, you know, that falls on the coaches too. Like, coaches, what are you doing letting your guys pick and choose opponents and not taking tough fights? Like, you're not doing them any favors. And we used to do this with guys when we first started. Big ticket seller, oh man, just get them whoever they can win. Let them keep winning. And about 50 events in, we were like, you know what? These guys want to go on and be professionals one day. These guys want to make it to the UFC.
We're not doing them justice.
We're not helping them.
Yep.
We're not doing them any justice. So we had to stop it. But yeah, man, the landscape of MMA is crazy right now too. Like you said, like the UFC is cutting guys that are 5-1, cut 3-1 Carl Williams. It's just, man, you got to be the total package, and you don't become the total package by picking and choosing fights, by not taking risk, by not putting yourself out there, by not being active. So if your goal is really the UFC, figure it out now. Start now. Don't wait until you're a pro. It's too late.
All right, Mitch, you're the go-to man, bro. Like you said, if Dana White and Meta didn't believe in you as much as they did, they wouldn't have hired you. You wouldn't have been as successful as you are and everything that we've been talking about in the entire podcast if you weren't that dude. So I want to put you in a predicament to see what you would do on a higher level. Let's say Dana White asked you, Mitch, I want your suggestions. I want your recommendations. I want your blueprint. Not blueprint as to how to do it, but who is going to fight on the most important part, most memorable card ever, most historical card ever for the UFC, which is also combining with the most historical event ever hosted on the White House lawn. Mm-hmm. Who do you think should be on the main card? Let's say 6 fights. Main card.
6 to 8 fights.
6 to 8. Okay, 6 to 8 fights. Let's see where you're at. Let's see if we can put that together for old Dana, for the White House for the 250-year anniversary.
It's got to be America versus the world. That's got to be the headline of the fight. The card is called America versus the world, without a doubt. And the main event, I think there's no question in my mind, is John Jones versus Aspinall. Everyone wants to see it. Ooh, got to do it. That's it. That's the main event, without a doubt. I think John Jones whoops him, by the way. I love Aspinall, and I think he's really good, but I think John Jones is special, but he might be aging out.
Right.
I wish Stevenson was a little bit further along in his career, because I'd love to see him up there. I think going down the line.
205.
205.
That's Pereira.
Got to be Alex Pereira. Man.
No American to put him up against, though, right?
I know. Maybe Jamal Hill. He feels like he got kind of slighted in that fight.
Yeah, though. That guy's been fucking, he has been irrelevant. He hasn't fought. I mean.
And he's kind of off his rocker right now, too. He's kind of like.
He just took a loss. He doesn't deserve it.
And he just went off on Joanna. He threatened to hit her, I think. There's some video.
Oh, yeah. The queen.
There's a 205er out there, I'm sure. But it's got one side of it's got to be Alex Pereira. The other side of it, we'll figure that out. Middleweight, I think without a doubt, it's Sean Strickland. You got to have Sean Strickland on the card, and he's fighting Duplessis.
No, Hamza.
No, America, man. It ain't got to be a title. He's fighting Duplessis. I don't care if it's a title or not.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying. Because you don't think he deserves a title.
Well, I don't think
he doesn't. He doesn't deserve a title.
I think the fight that would be fun would be that fight, Duplessis.
Okay, I like that one. Yeah, okay.
Sean,
the rematch.
I don't think Hamzat can get into the White House. I think Hamzat is going to sit that card out. At one point, he was on a terrorist list, I believe. Like, he wasn't even allowed. That's why.
You really think that visa-wise and all that, he can't get in?
I'm sure every fighter.
He had issues. He had plenty of issues in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure every fighter on this card would have to pass some kind of security check, and I just don't know if Hamzat is the guy.
Okay,
that will pass that. I think for the
welterweight, 170.
Man, I feel like Colby Covington has to be in this. I don't know if Islam Makhachev is passing either.
He's not going to give Kobe that. Now, if you're going to do America versus, the world, then they're going to give that. If they're going to go Islam, they're going to give that to this guy, to
Ilya?
No, that's not the world. No, they're going to give it to Usman.
Usman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And no shots against Usman. I like him. I'm a fan of his, but he doesn't deserve it. But,
Does he not, though?
I think so.
I think Usman deserves it. He just beat Jaquan Buckley, who was on a tear. He took Khamzat to 5 rounds and was whooping him in the final 2 rounds on a week's notice at a weight class up. That's crazy work.
I think, going back to many things that we talked about earlier, we see that the dynamic has changed in regards to these fights have to make sense. They have to make sense. They got to make that money. And when you think about America versus the world, how much of a veteran this man has been, the amount of fights that he's taken when he didn't have to take it against Masvidal, when he did it against, that you just said, against Hamza, I believe that's fine. I believe it's okay. Give him the fight. Do I think he's deserving when we talk about old school, you deserve it, you got enough wins, you were active enough, you beat so-and-so and so-and-so? No, I do not think that. Yeah. But for the right reasons, he's older, he needs time to get ready. It's against Hamza. It's America versus the world, this and that. Islam. Yeah, I say go ahead and make that. Sure, go ahead and make it.
I'd be cool with that. I like Usman. I do think he should be next in line. I think he should get a shot. at the belt. I think beating Buckley was a big deal. And I think that what he did against Hamzat was crazy. I think he whooped Leon Edwards. He got caught literally in the last few seconds.
Yeah, he whooped him for 5 rounds.
Anyone else could have took the gas pedal, foot off the gas, and would have coasted to a win. I think I'd like to see Charles Oliveira on that card. Everyone loves him. I'd like to see him versus Dustin Poirier, possibly. I think that's.
But I mean, Dustin would have to come out. But the BMF title's coming up though.
Yeah, I think he's fighting Max Holloway, which would also be a great fight to have. You know, timing is everything too. Some of these fights just have to happen before that date. But you know, Max Holloway's American. He's Hawaiian.
Yeah.
I love any fight that involves Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway. Any fight.
I think if Max wins against Charles and barring no setbacks in regards to like heavy injuries, I think the fight to make will be against Ilya for the rematch. And this time he puts up the BMF title, and then you have America versus the world.
I think I don't know that Charles can make the adjustments to win that fight.
I meant as in, well, remember, I think Charles was winning when he was going against Ilya until he decided to go forward. Ilya hit him with a stiff little jab or a body shot, and you can tell right there Charles says, oh, fuck that. I'm going to do what I normally do. And starts going forward, and Ilya read it, and then that was it. Lights out.
I think Ilya might be one of the best in the world, to be honest. I think he's
definitely showing it. He is. I mean, you took out the best featherweight to ever do it. You took out the reigning other featherweight and one of the BMFs to ever do it. Took them out. Both of them took them out. And then you come up and do what you do over here. It's just the man. Yeah, the man's a real deal. He's talking about going to 170.
And I would love to see him in Islam.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I think the heavy fans know, but the casuals don't. That like he's got nasty wrestling background. Georgians are just for knowledge. I think there's like less than 5 million Georgians in the world. There's 2 UFC Georgian champions. That's crazy statistics.
Wow.
There's 330 million Americans in the world. How many, well, at least in America, but how many of them are champions? So just the pool of, athletes. But, I think Ilya could be one of the best in the world.
Are we putting Sean O'Malley on the card?
100%. He's going to rematch Merab. 100%. That's got to be America. O'Malley is, I feel like he's the new age America. He's the Gen Z.
So that would have to be in Merab's choice. That's in his hands because Peter Young. Yeah, I know, but Peter Young, they owe it to Merab. They told Merab, and Merab deserves it. He deserves the rematch. So they say when Merab fights, it's for the belt. It's for the belt. They didn't say it's the rematch. They said it's for the belt.
Yeah.
So if Peter does something prior, then Merab's going to get him. But if Peter doesn't, it's more than likely going to be Merab. I think, isn't Peter just got a little surgery? He's got a little bounce back?
I know one of them was hurt, minor. I don't know which one it was, though, but I know there was an issue after the fight, that the rematch wasn't going to happen, like, right away. But, yeah, I think Sean O'Malley, regardless, at that weight class, and I don't care if it's against, I don't care which one of them it's against, whether it's Peter Yan. I love that fight to happen again. That was a really close fight. It was. And I think Jan's really smart. He has a good fight IQ. He can figure it out. But I think Sean O'Malley's on the America side, 100%.
Do you think we get Jorge on there and Kobe because they truly are? They do have those connections with Trump. They do, both of them, legitimately they do. And we know the connection with Trump and Dana White. So
I would love to see them fight each other. Like, I know that's a hard sell, but, like, man, I would love to see them fight each other.
Should be the rematch. I think it should. Yeah. I think it should. Why not? They're both at the end of their careers. I mean, George has to come back from retiring, and Kobe hasn't been doing shit. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, make money, some money, have a good time.
And I'm sure Kobe thinks it's an easy fight because he's going to think, ain't no way George changed his wrestling from then to now.
And George feels the same way, I bet. Like, there ain't no way that he's going to handle my shots whenever I'm throwing them with real aggression and hate. I also think Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes
has to happen. I hope Kayla is. I don't think it's going to happen in time, bro.
Yeah.
I think she's training again. She's doing something light, but you're talking about a neck surgery of some sort. Like, how hard are you going to train when you're going against the woman's GOAT?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you want to? I mean, when is the card? July?
June, I think they moved it to. It's going to be the end
Oh,
of
matter of
June.
fact, it's June 14th, the day before my birthday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So, that's a small amount of time for someone who just came out of surgery, has to slowly crank back up into fight form and then do a real deal fight camp when you're going against the best who's ever done it, you know,
Yeah.
who's been just training for the last year and a half with no injuries, no pressure, no nothing, you know. That's what she's been doing. I believe Amanda's going to be in absolute beast mode. So hopefully we get that one. What else you got in mind? Anything else?
Thug Rose and Whaley. I'd like to see that fight happen again.
They both coming off losses. Whaley moved up in weight class, and she took that little whooping from whatchamacallit, so from the Bullet, and then now Thug Rose. That was a very close fight. It was a little boring. Yeah. I would like to see Rose throw more hands, man.
I think it could have went either way too, man. I'm big on Thug Rose.
I am too, bro.
I love the head shaving and the reason why, and she's the epitome of a martial artist,
right?
And she'd have to be on the card. I think she's retiring. Maybe I think she might be saying she's done. But a
great way to go out, for the White House card.
Yeah, and after a loss, man, the average fan doesn't understand what goes through a fighter's mind and what happens, and the good and the bad. Sometimes it can be the worst. Going through a loss, and you're experiencing a bunch of emotions, and you've put sometimes a lifetime worth of work for that night, and just to lose. And man, it's rough. So I'm sure she's gonna have some time to reflect, and hopefully want to get one more in there because I'd like to see her again. I love watching Thug Rose fight.
I wonder if they're going to put, because I know he's very American and has a big following too. And right now, two Americans are kind of going at it, talking shit, and that's Pfeiffer, and who just came off his win, and the wrestler. Oh shit, I can't say his name right now. From ATT, the orange-haired one. Why can't I say his name? The three-time
Bo Nichols.
Bo Nichols. Jesus Christ, thank you. I know Pfeiffer's been trying to call that fight out for Bo Nichols, and those are two Americans. That can be a nice rowdy one right there.
But Bo Nichols will definitely be on it. He's a very popular guy,
right?
With Trump as well. Has played golf with him and stuff, and he's American. I mean, he's as American gets, so he'd be on the card as well. There's so many, and you don't know what's going to happen between now and June. There's going to be 5 or 6 cards. Just the numbered. I mean, there'll be 5 numbered cards between now and then. Who's going to get hurt? Who's going to get injured?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Conor on the card against somebody. I'd love to see Conor and Nick Diaz. I'd love to see that happen again.
That'd be
cool with it.
Man, that would be an amazing one. They should. It's the rubber band match. I don't know, Mitch. I have no idea why they haven't made that happen. Crazy. I don't know why Conor's been dicking around this long when. Let the truth be told, man. I think Nate is awesome. What a fucking staple. What a fighter's fighter. Famous for all the right reasons. To me, he's one of us. Street nigga and all that dumb shit and what we've been through and whatever. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. If Conor's gonna say, "What's my easiest fight that I have the best chance of winning for this comeback fight that I've been dicking around snorting coke up my bunghole for so long?" Yeah. What's my best one? And it's going to draw the most attention, pay me the biggest, paycheck, and so on and so forth. Nate Diaz. That's a no-brainer. And then for Nate Diaz.
Nick, his brother Nick.
No,
Diaz.
Nate.
No, Nate. Is it?
It's Nate. It's not Nick. Yeah, it's Nate. It's Nate. Yeah, it's Nate.
Damn, here I am. You need
to start smoking weed again. And for Nate, again, respectfully, I think if Nate's going to balance out, what's my best opportunity of winning against somebody? If I'm going to come out of retirement, do a White House fight, and it's going to make me the biggest paycheck and so on and so forth, in case I walk away again, it's Conor. That's your best bet. It's not anybody else, except maybe Jorge Masvidal,
Yeah, that'd be a fun fight, too.
As well, because that's a rematch they should have. Yeah. Remember, that one got stopped early, even though it was legit.
Yeah.
So, it should happen with Conor. I hope they make that happen. I want to rewind real quick. Where I think they should do this, and I know you're trying to go America versus the world, they're not going to be able to, I don't think they're going to be able to pull that off all the way across, everything. And the only way to make up for it, if it's not America versus the world, is going to be either super high caliber or a title match. I think it should be John Jones versus Pereira at heavyweight.
I'd love to see that.
Okay, that's what I think it should happen. And because this fool's walking around stupid heavy, he's been begging for it. They kind of, stirred it up. It's out there. The fans want it. Why not? I know Dana White keeps saying he's worried about John not showing up, but John has said everything to try to commit to it. So if you make that happen, let these two fuckers get their rematch that everybody wants to see because of how it went. And that's, Cyril Gahn versus, whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
They got to get that rematch, and I think his eyes are going to be okay from that. And then everything else you just said, all the other fights. I like that little lineup there. I want to get John Jones in there against Pereira, because if that doesn't happen, Pereira doesn't have somebody to fight against. There's no one there American-wise, and there's no one there that really deserves it. I don't even know who's next in 205. Who the fuck is next in 205? Like, deservingly next.
I mean, another Yuri match would be fun, but that's not America. But I like another Yuri fight.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It ain't the most deserving, but it'll be fun.
Yeah.
You know, remember, Yuri got beat twice by him.
I know.
You know, so
but it's a fun fight.
It is, because we like to see Yuri, bro. He's such a, again, you mentioned Rose being a true martial artist. That's another fucking cuckoo true martial artist, you know. Him, Rose, Bullet, Valentina, true, live everything. Warrior spirit, go to different gyms. I love that Bullet Valentina does that.
Yeah.
Even with her coach, she goes to other gyms and lets other coaches give her some spice and do some mitts and, you know, move around with people. Taping this shit down, brother. How can everybody follow? What are all the sites? Where can we go? Every station you guys already, we're up at 1 million in combined total. Let's get that a little bit more than that. So Combat Night.
Just Combat Night, man. If you search Combat Night, it's going to pop up. You can put Combat Night MMA for more specific, but you put Combat Night into anything, Google, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, it's going to pop up. It's like I said, man, there's no doubt in my mind, or I think anyone who follows socials or understands how things work, it's it, man. Combat Night is the leading promotion right now, and we don't plan on going anywhere, man. We're just going to keep growing and keep adding to that. So
events off the top of your head, the best that you can. We have February 7th coming up right now in Fort Lauderdale at Club Sway. What are the ones behind that?
February 14th in Tallahassee at the Moon. We've got March 28th at Kissimmee at Osceola Heritage Park. We got April 18th back at Sway. We've got May 2nd in Jacksonville at the Prime Osborne. And then we've got June 7th at Orlando, the Beecham, June 20th in Tampa. And that's what we've announced so far.
I was just going to ask, do you guys go to Tampa? Not as much. You're starting to go into the Tampa region?
Yeah. Going into new markets, especially when they have local events that have been working there for a while, sometimes it can be hard to get the coaches to come see the difference. So we start slow. This year, we're going to try to do 2. We're going to try to do one at the end of the year as well. And then going into 2027, I would like to have it at like 3 or 4 like we do the rest of the events. And make it a big deal out there in Tampa. I like the Tampa got a bunch of really good gyms.
Oh yes, they do.
But they haven't fully bought in yet to the Combat Night experience and the treatment of the fighters and how different it is, and just the experience. A lot of these shows that are happening, you do get a chance to fight the independent guy that's horrible, and your guy's gonna get a win. Looks good for the gym, looks good for the coach. But I think the more we do these events and have these guys at our other shows, they realize that that's not really building their fighter the right way. Just like we had to figure it out in the first 50 events. Right. Giving the ticket seller the fights we know they can win isn't the best way to build a fighter. The best way to build a fighter is give them tough fights, and there's no one offering tougher fights than Combat Night. It's just not.
I really like to say this. I'm not gonna say that every guest that comes in here is authentically a real black sheep of some sort, but for the most part it happens like that. But truth be told, brother, you definitely are. Combat Night is the black sheep of the leagues over here in Florida, and by that I mean because you guys paved your own path. When COVID hit, you guys were the only ones who had to fight. UFC went through you, and the whole Jacksonville thing, they used you a lot on that. We talked about that on our first podcast. That was a big pivoting moment back then. And you guys, you didn't follow the herd. You did your own thing, and you've been doing that. And that, to me, that exemplifies black sheep. And that's why you're in such a special, unique position, because you guys are that, and I hope that everybody watching takes that great advice. And on that note, what would be the last piece of advice you'll give to anybody watching? It doesn't have to be about fighting for your league. It could just be anything in regards to the entrepreneur. I mean, you spit so much fire today. What would be some closing advice for everybody watching, the fighters, the fans, judges, promoters, anything?
Man, I think 2 principles that I kind of live my life by. One of them is just being a man of your word. You control what comes out of your mouth. If you say it, you better do it. Don't go back on what you said. There's many times I put that to the test. People have put that to the test with me, where I say something and I'm like, damn, why did I do that? Even as like starting Combat Night, I remember committing to taking my life savings and starting this event, and then the next morning I was like, man, that was stupid. I was high when I did it. Literally, I was high when I committed to starting Combat Night, and I was like, man, why did I do that? But I said it came out my mouth, so we're gonna do it. Look where I am today, because I was a man of my word. And then second thing is, man, money don't make me, and money will not break me. Do not chase the dollar bill. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and the money will come.
Phenomenal advice, brother, and big shout out to Josh Saman. for everything that he did. And rest in peace over there. You're always with us, and you're always going to be part of Combat Night. Guys, make sure you show your support. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I got a lot of amazing guests lined up. We're popping them left and right. Stay tuned. So make sure you subscribe, man. A lot of you guys ain't subscribed, but I know how that shit goes. Just right now, the podcast is ending. Just right now, just go push that button, push subscribe, and if you really want to show some love, share it. Share it with everybody. Make sure make us go to the next level. Both Combat Night and the Black Sheep Perspective. Wishing y'all the best. Love and peace. Take care, guys.
Appreciate you, man.